Hey y'all, and welcome to the Hillbilly Chicken Ranch. I'm Susan, and we're doing the Resourceful Homestead. And y'all, we've just about used up all of our store-bought detergents that we've been using for our laundry. I found this stuck in a corner. This is the liquid soap that I used to make, and I'm going to tell you why I switched from this to powder. Um, it takes 5 gallons like this, and it takes up space in my washroom, which I don't have. So we were using a milk crate to store them in. Sometimes they'll leak on the floor. Um, they can get quite messy. And I didn't think they were cleaning my clothes as well as it possibly could. And I used this scoop, you can tell. It's an old scoop or ladle. And I have to keep washing it off because the soap builds up on it. So what we're doing is we have come up with a recipe that will get me through 3 to 6 months without having to go to the store and buy detergents for laundry that is quite expensive these days. So here is what I have left of my homemade laundry soap, and I use 1 to 2 tablespoons per load, depending on how dirty the clothes are. Now, my husband works in the tire industry, and so his clothes get quite mucky, so I will use 2 tablespoons in his clothes, 1 tablespoon in mine. I can also use it to soak some of my clothes that might be stained without harming the fabric, so that is a plus plus. So I wrote on one side the ingredients, and on the other side I've labeled my jar with 1 to 2 tablespoons per load. And instead of 5 of these sitting in my washroom, I have 1 jar. So what are the ingredients and how does this work? Well, I found that my clothes are coming out much cleaner. My washing machine inside is actually staying cleaner. And I have an HE washer like most people these days. This doesn't suds up and, build up all that soap scum around the barrel like some soaps will do. So, with that said, it is also septic safe when used in moderation because it contains borax. Borax is natural, but borax can affect the bacteria in your septic tank. So what we're going to probably be doing here in a few months is we're going to be taking our washer machine and probably our kitchen sink off of the septic system and putting it into a leach field where we can leach that water back in to the ground and use it that way and have it get everything that is healthy and beneficial to the soil back into the ground because certain soaps are good for your soil. This calls for washing soda. Now these have gone up in price because everything has. It's not as cheap as it used to be. But washing soda is nothing but baking soda that's been cooked. So you know that it's got baking soda in there, and it just changes the molecular structure, and it makes it better for washing as a washing agent. It's actually good for the environment. They got an environment commitment on the side. You can use it in your laundry, kitchen, bathroom, on your silver, for hard water, on your upholstery, and so many other things. Another ingredient that I'm using is Mule Borax. Now this is a little bit harsher, but it's still usable in your septic tank as long as you don't use a lot of it. So this has been around since 1891. The other has been around for about 100 to 120 years or better. And you can use it in the laundry, in the bathroom, and around the home as well, making homemade natural cleaners. The third ingredient I use in my homemade laundry soap is baking soda. Yes, washing soda is technically baking soda, but there is a difference when it is cooked and it turns into a cleaning agent. It becomes coarser. This is finer. This softens your clothes and it helps release those dirty stains and stuff. So you want to use this. And of course, baking soda's been around for a long, long time as well. And it is septic safe. Another ingredient I use in a lot of my homemade cleaners is baking soda. I like the Fels Naptha soap. It's a laundry soap. You can actually rub it on the stains of your clothes before you wash them. It's been around for a long, long time. Now, there was years ago a problem with Fels Naptha, but they took care of that problem, and it is perfectly safe now. It's actually put out by the Purex company. I didn't realize that. And it tells you how to use it on the back of your package right there. I'm going to be using 3 of these bars today. I'm going to put it through this old food processor to grind it up. But you can use the Zote soap for laundry, or you can use body soap, the bar soaps, lye soap, whatever you have on hand. But I like using 3 of these, and these are 5-ounce bars, so I'm going to be putting in 15 ounces of soap into my recipe that has been ground up. I'm also going to be putting 4 to 6 cups of each washing soda and borax, and then 1 cup of baking soda, and on top of that, using one of my essential oils. I like the lemongrass. I've got lemon up there. You can use just about any scent that you want to use in your laundry. I've got cypress, eucalyptus, rosemary. You can use any scent that you want to. Some of them have germ fighting agents. I'm probably going to use the lemon today because I'm getting low on the lemongrass and I need to get another bottle of this. But you can use any kind of essential oil, and you're going to use 60 drops of essential oil before you jar it up. And you'll need a glass jar with a wide mouth and a tablespoon that you won't be using for food to dip with when you're putting it into your laundry. So if you don't want to make the full recipe, you can cut it back, cut it in thirds, and because we're using 1 bar basically for every 2 cups that we're using in our jar today. But I'm doing it in bulk because I don't want to be doing this every month. I want to be doing this, once every 3 to 6 months if possible, to make my laundry detergent and make it last for a little while. First step will be to grind these bars up to make them easier to digest in our washing machine or to dissolve in the washing machine. So we're going to get those ground up. And they also sell them in bags pre-done, but I like doing it myself. These do have a nice fresh scent, so you don't have to put the essential oil in unless you want to. Now, I'm going to suggest that you wear a mask while you're doing this if you have breathing problems, or just steer clear because you're dealing with powdered items that can irritate your nasal passages, your throat, and your lungs. So I have measured out 6 cups of my Mule Team Borax. So I'm just going to pour that into my bowl. And I've measured out 1 cup of baking soda. 6 cups of the washing soda. You don't want to pour it up high because you'll have a dust storm. And you need a very large bowl for this if you're mixing like I am. And then I'm going to measure out, for curiosity's sake, how much of the soap I have. Okay, so my soap is really fine. So about 3 cups of this, and the reason it's fine is because I allow the soap to sit for 6 months to a year so it hardens, and I use the grater and the little chopper in my processor. So I'm going to pour this on top. You want to get this mixed. I do want to mention that if you don't have a food processor, you can certainly use a hand grater, or you can take a paring knife and gently grate it. If it's a dry soap, it'll grate really easy. You may have a few little lumps at the end because you're getting to the end, but otherwise, here's one. It should be very fine. So let me get my essential oil that I'm going to put in here. And this one doesn't have a dropper, so I'm just going to guess. And I like lemongrass or the lemon in here because it just gives this a really fresh scent. But don't use lemon if you own cats or you're going to be, washing cat covers and stuff in this. I have a different soap that I use for the cat covers. And you just want to mix it in, make sure it's good and incorporate it. I'm going to get in here with my hands just to make sure. And it smells so fresh. All right, our soap is ready. We're going to get this jarred up, and it'll be ready for our next load of laundry. So I'm just using a funnel on the top to kind of keep this under control. And I have 1 gallon of laundry soap. There you go, folks. 1 gallon of laundry soap that'll last me 3 to 6 months. Doesn't take up as much space in my pantry. Cost effective because I'm not spending $10 to $20 every time I go to the store to buy detergent for my laundry every month. So I'm saving bukus of money this way. I'll give you a price breakdown at the end of the video. We're going to move on to another project. 1 tablespoon regular load is approximately 6 cents per load. 2 tablespoons heavy large load is approximately 12 cents per load. I came across an old project while I was going through all that yarn to donate, and it's going to be going to the Amish. And I thought I would show you this because it's called planned pooling. So let me grab this, make sure my loop is long enough I don't lose my stitches. And y'all, there it is. Isn't that pretty? Now I've got a little ways to go. This is either going to be a bag or I'm going to turn it into a rug and I'm going to back it. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it yet, but I didn't want to throw my work away. The Amish are plain people. They probably wouldn't understand why I would do this. And this is the yarn. It's been discontinued, the colorway, I do believe. But it's by Red Heart with love. There's 180 yards or 164 millimeters. And it calls for a K hook and it is a medium number 4. And on the package, I wrote how to pool it because plan pooling is different every time you use it. Pooling, I'm going to cast on 82 to get the size that I have. I'm using an eye hook and I'm doing single crochet. So I thought I would just sit here for a few minutes and work on this little bit of skein that I have left. This is actually 2 skeins. And this is where the first skein ends right here. So I'm almost through with the second skein. And I'm going to actually come in here and cut that a little bit tighter so you won't see my knot when I'm finished. But if I'm backing it, it isn't going to make much difference. So plan pooling is kind of a hard stitch to do or to get it started. And I thought it turned out pretty cool. And it's probably supposed to be like a tartan, but it's not quite there. That's okay. I like the way it looks, and that's what matters. Now, I don't crochet like normal people do. I actually crochet holding my thread and my needle in my right hand. I was taught by a left-handed crocheter. I could not get how to get it around my left hand and crochet that way, so I do it my way. And just loosely crocheting in each stitch. You want to keep your stitch tension. My nose has decided to run. I'm going to set this back here. Maybe it'll stay. And just tell y'all, the Resourceful Homestead is using what you have, using your skills, doing a lot of DIY projects, and we will be doing a lot of those this year, and using your resources wisely. So we have I've got 81 stitches across because you need 82 for your turning stitch. Your first crochet will be in the second stitch. For those of you that don't crochet, this is not knit. This is actually crocheting with 1 hook. Knit is with 2 hooks, and the fabric that it makes is totally different than the crochet. Now, you can do an Afghan stitch, which is similar to knitting, with 1 hook. I think that's pretty interesting. I haven't quite got there yet with that one, although I absolutely have some Afghan crochet hooks. So I love the way that each row pulls to the next row. So we're going through a little bit of a transition here. And if you find that when you're doing plan pooling and something doesn't come out right, you've either skipped a stitch or you have got your stitches too tight or too loose, and you need to undo that and go back and redo it. I love to crochet. This is probably the last piece I'm going to be doing with acrylic yarns. I'm switching over completely to cotton yarns because I do a lot of dishcloths and washcloths and things like that. And I don't really like the way the acrylic feels on my skin, and I get too hot if I'm under an acrylic blanket. So I thought cotton would be our best bet. And y'all, I had a lot of yarn. I've got actually 7 bags of yarn that I'm going to give to our Amish community and let them use them for whatever purposes that they want. Thank you for coming along with me today. I hope that you have enjoyed watching me make my homemade laundry soap. And if you try it, let me know in comments. I would love to hear your thoughts on homemade laundry detergent. I know it works for us. I can wash colored clothes in hot water. They're not bleeding on me. I always set the colors with a little, about a cup of vinegar. You can set it with vinegar or salt. I find vinegar works better in cold water. And then I would wash them in hot water to kill all the germs that might be on the fabrics, especially with my husband's job. And it doesn't take very long to get to the end of the row. I'm almost there. I'm just super, super excited. I'm going to get this project finished. I don't like having projects sitting on hold. And I thought, well, I'm going to get this one done and we're going to use it for something around our homestead. Maybe with my surprise. I don't know. We'll find out. Be blessed and a blessing, everyone. Here's some content I think you might like. Thank you for visiting our homestead. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, hype, and share to help our small channel grow. See you next time for more simple living, frugal tips, and farmyard fun.